Sit up straight. Press your hands down, lengthen through your sideways side chest. Move your arm bones back to bring your shoulder blades into your back. Release your hands to your thighs and close your eyes. Descend your thighs. With equal and even weight in your two sitting bones, lengthen up through the front of your body. Move your torso so your shoulders are directly over your hips. And the weight should be in the center of your sitting bones when that is all lined up. Turn your upper arms out to bring your shoulder blades into your back. Be broad across your collarbones. Soften your neck and throat. Release your jaw. Rest your tongue into the base of your mouth. Take slow, even breaths. And then gently open your eyes. All right. Come to your hands and knees. And get your sliders. And they'll be under your hands. Now, if at any point this gets too much for your wrist, lean back and there'll be less weight on your wrist. That's all you have to do. All right. Otherwise, have a little pressure on your arms. And then start by just turning your right arm out and then in, out, in. See if you can point your fingers all the way back each way. There's a little more weight on your left arm. And switch arms. Turn out, turn in, turn out, turn in. Come back to the center. And now, slide your right arm forward and slide it back. And slide your left arm forward and slide it back. Then the next one, take your arm out like at a 45-degree angle and slide it back. Left arm, 45-degree angle. Slide it back. 90-degree angle. And back. And you turn your hand at the same time. 90-degree angle. And back. All right, you might have to come a little more on the slidey surface because you have to turn your hand back and slide it back towards your legs. That looks like this. All right. Okay. Is it not working, Kathy? Or is it working and you're just moving your camera? All right. So the next one, so we're going to do that all on one side. So right arm forward, right arm back, 45 degrees and back, 90 degrees and back, and just about 180 degrees and back. Forward, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees. One more time. Forward. I guess you could think of it as times to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock. All right. Other side. Hopefully I'm doing that right because I'm mirroring. 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You're right there, Suzette. 9 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Last time. 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whoops. Anyway, out to the side. I went wrong clock and back. All right, come back to the center. All right, so I'm gonna unmute everyone and you just tell me if you're having any problems. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I guess I can't, huh?
Yeah, no, Mary, it feels good.
Okay.
No problems here either.
A little tight.
Oh,
What's
good.
My left shoulder is a little tight, so I can feel it when it slides out.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know we were doing it 2 times through. That's why I stopped.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I'm just making sure because it's going to get harder.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh. Here you
Thanks
going.
for the heads up.
Okay. Not harder on the shoulders though. Okay. So you can so actually for this one you don't need these. This next one. All right, you're gonna crawl. So I've been taking care of your workout classes, and she's very creative, and these are actually conditioning classes rather than yoga classes. But as you crawl, you're gonna lift the opposite arm and leg. Lift, down. Lift, left arm, right leg. Right arm, left leg. And just do it slowly at first. And notice, so then when you get to the end of your range, you just go backwards. Left arm, right leg, right arm, left leg. This is just a little bit of an ab workout, actually. So last week we worked a little bit on Virabhadrasana 3. This is another way to work kind of on the same muscles. Forward. So this is stage 1, right? So we're walking forward, And then walking back. And try to pause on the up so that it's just a little more abdominal. All right. Okay, stage 2. You can stay with stage 1, especially if you have pain in the wrist, because this is going to load your wrist a little more. But you tuck your toes under and hover your knees. And then right arm, left foot, left arm, right foot. And then back. And forward. You want to keep your knees rather low. So a couple inches off the ground. So you're really crawling rather than bending over. All right, take a rest. All right. The next one. You need your little blankets again, or paper plates or whatever. And you can just watch for a second. So I start with my hands together and knees apart. And then I'm going to crawl to the side by taking my hands apart and my knees together. Hands together, knees apart. Knees together, hands apart. Hands together, knees apart. And I ran into my blanket. Hands apart, knees together. All right. This is as much of a coordination thing as anything else. So think, all right, hands together, knees apart at the same time. Knees together, hands apart at the same time. Hands together, knees apart. Knees together, hands apart. Hands together, knees apart. Because I can't say it at the same time, but your movement is the same. So the right arm and left leg move together, and the left leg and right arm move together. Okay. And then, guess what? So after we get used to that, you lift your legs up. So you start with your knees apart and your hands together. Together, apart, together, apart, together, apart, together, apart. Oops. Okay, come down. Do you feel your abs at all? Okay, good. Yeah, thank you. I need someone with a ponytail to nod to. So that was just, I thought it was a lot of fun. If you wanted to make that harder, which, you know, who doesn't? I don't have them upstairs, I left them downstairs, but those bands, you can take those fitness bands, and sometimes they're used in physical therapy, and you could put those around your arms and around your legs. But we're not going to do that today. But one more of this kind of thing. Actually, 2 more, because one I worked on actually for Marcia, because I was thinking about her wrist. So you can still do all this on your elbows. And it's actually a little harder. So crawl forward. Feel free to join me any moment now. And crawl back. But it also gives a chance for the wrist to have a little break. All right. Now, if this wasn't weird enough, you're going to try to go fast. So in order to go fast, you almost have to lift your knees up because that might be a little hard on the knees and a little hard on the husband who's working downstairs. So. Just try it. Try not to overthink it. If you think too much, right, left. There we go, that's great, Sobo. Good. All right. Now you can try the other one fast. And I wasn't very good at this one. To do it quickly, I need to practice it more. I really should practice it more before I teach it, but I was just having such a good time doing all this stuff that I had to share it. Whoops, see, I ended up with both out. There you go, start with these in. Just try it once. See how fast you can move. There we go, isn't that fun? And then you have a rag to wipe your face with. Also another way to clean your floor.
So what does this do? How does that help our yoga practice? That's what I want to know. I like the ab work.
That's a fair question. So one thing it does is it works the abs, right? And it works your coordination, which both help your balance. But it also warms you up. So if we're going to do a practice, usually we warm up first. So those are the main things, but just try downward facing dog and see how it feels and see if it had any effect. So it may not have. Now, is it yoga? I don't know. Right, so it's a little fast for me to think of as yoga, but then there's a lot of people that move very fast in yoga. The other thing it helps is when we're doing this. So we did this last week where we raised opposite arm and leg, to warrior three. So it's kind of a training for that kind of work. Yeah. So downward facing dog. So here, what I feel from doing that work first, rather than starting out with downward facing dog, or say starting out in child's pose and going to downward facing dog, I feel a little more connection to my arms. And my abdomen is already pulled in a little bit. My abdomen kind of likes to hang out. And I'm a little swayed back. So this helps me pull my abdomen in and get a little more connection to my arms. And walk your hands back. Fold forward. Lift the backs of your legs up, lift the fronts of your legs up. Let your head release downward. Place your hands on your hips. Inhale, come all the way back up. All right. Place 2 bricks at the front of your mat. And stand between your bricks. Stand in Tadasana. Press your feet evenly into the floor, lift your chest. Bend down, place your hands on the bricks. Bend your left leg, step your left leg back into a lunge. Then spin your left heel to the floor and begin to straighten your right leg. Press down with the big toe side of your right foot. Press to the outside of your left foot. Lift both quadriceps up. And then remember when we were spinning the hands out, so keep your hands still, but turn your shoulders out. So the arms turn out, even though the hands are not spinning back and forth. Lift your back heel, bend your front leg, step your front leg forward, back leg forward. Then bend both your knees, step your right foot back, come into a lunge. Spin your right heel to the floor, straighten your left leg. Press all 5 toes of your left foot into the floor. Lift both quadriceps. Turn your upper arms out. Then you can change the height of the blocks if you need to. Why not? For some reason, when I do it this way, rather than coming from, Tadasana, taking the feet out apart and then turning, I get a little better stretch in my back leg. That might not be true for you, but it's good without sounding irreverent. I think it's good to try coming into the poses different ways, not always coming in the way in Leg on Yoga. All right, lift your back heel, bend your front leg, step your feet together, fold forward. Place your hands on your hips. Stand up. Okay, we're going to do that again, but I want your blocks to be on something that can slide. So they will not slide on a sticky mat. So we're going to take Purvottanasana and slide the blocks forward. So they're a little easier to slide if they're up high. Not easier to slide actually, but easier to move If they won't slide at all, then grab your sliders. So that would be paper plates on carpet or rags on wood or tile. All right. And then when you're ready, start Tadasana. Bend forward, place your hands on the bricks. Bend your knees, take your left leg back into a lunge. Spin your left heel down. Take your right hip back. Then pressing through the toes of the right foot, straighten your right leg. And then slide your bricks forward. Keep both quadriceps lifted. Both legs straight. Yes. Oh, sorry, I was coming to look at the camera. Sopo, we're still in the same pose. There we go. How's this? Whoops. The opposite. Then leave the blocks where they are and walk your hands back and fold over your front leg. Suzette, take your right hip back. Yes. Yeah. Just keep straighten that front leg to, yeah. Yeah, good, yes. All right. Bend your front leg, lift your back heel. Step your leg forward, fold forward. All right, you might have to scoot, now you have to scoot your bricks back so they're on something slidey. And then bend your knees. Step your right leg back into a lunge. Spin your right heel down. Take your outer left hip back. Press your 5 toes of your left foot into the floor and straighten your leg. Keep both quadriceps lifted, working. And then slide your bricks forward. As you slide your bricks forward, you get more extension in the sides of the torso. You feel less cramping on one side usually, but it also helps you get deeper into the pose. So you release the bricks, walk your hands back towards your foot and fold over the front leg. Or you can bring your bricks with you if you can't get to the floor. Bend your front leg, lift your back heel, step your back foot in, fold over both your legs, Uttanasana. Place your hands on your hips, elbows to the ceiling, inhale, come all the way up. More slidey things. All right, so we're gonna come to that same pose here, but this time rather than going forward, so the front leg, this is my left, but it'll be your right. You go over to that side, like this. Okay? So I'll talk you through it. So come into Uttanasana with your hands on the bricks, tall bricks probably. And then bend your knees, step your left leg back. Spin your left heel to the floor. Press through your toes to straighten your right leg. Take your right hip back. Straight leg. You can pull your bricks in. Yes, there we go. All right. Now turn the bricks to the side and scoot them at an angle. So this is to your right. And see how that changes the stretch of the pose. This is actually somewhere in between Paradvrita Trikonasana and Purvottanasana. So revolve triangle and tense plank stretch. Slide them back to the center. Back towards your foot. Bend your front leg, lift your back heel. Step back up into Uttanasana. Bend your knees, take your right leg back. Spin your right heel to the floor. Press the toes of your left foot to straighten your left leg. Then, turn the toes to the left and stretch over to the side. Slide those blocks over. You might even try moving more through your right arm to get more of a stretch. So you can use your left arm more for balance and moving your right arm. Slide the blocks back in on either side of the front foot. Bend your front leg, step your back leg in. Uttanasana. And then place your hands on your hips, come all the way back up. All right. So we're going to do this again. So we're here, and then I'm going to take this hand. This is the opposite hand of front foot, and bring it in close to the leg. Then this hand goes to the same hip as it is, and it turns like this. All right. So starting in Uttanasana with some tall bricks. Let's see, step your left leg back. First into a lunge. It helps you get a little bigger step that way. And then spin your right heel to the left heel to the floor, straighten your right leg by pressing through the toes. All right. Take your outer right hip back. Then move the bricks over to your right and extend over as far as you can to the right without leaning to the right. You fall over. All right. Then take the brick possibly a little lower next to, let's see, your foot. There's only one foot you're going to bring it next to. All right. And then take your right hand to your hip, press your right hip back, and turn more and more to the right. And then if your balance is stable, lift your right arm up. Bring your right hand back down. Both hands to the bricks, small bricks. Back to this sliding lunge, or sliding side lunge, I guess, or whatever it is. Hands either side of the front foot. Someday I'll know what I'm talking about. Bend your front leg, step your left leg forward, Uttanasana. Bend your left leg, step your right leg back. Spin your right heel to the floor, straighten your left leg. Take your outer left hip back. Yeah. Then, hands on the left side of the foot. Slide the bricks through. Your hands are going one way, your hips are going the other. Then keep your left hand where it is. Bring the right hand close to the left foot. Then take your left hand to your hip and rotate your chest. Possibly lift your left arm up. Bring your left arm down. 2 tall bricks out to the side. Back to the center. Bend your front leg. Step your feet together. Fold forward. Place your hands on your hips. Inhale, come all the way up. Downward facing dog. So now we've warmed up the hamstrings quite a bit. See if you can get your heels a little further back, a little closer to the ground. Walk your hands back to your feet, Uttanasana. Hands on your hips, inhale, come all the way up. Tadasana. Shoulders back. Activate your triceps, feet together for this one. All right, move the weight to your left leg. Bend your right leg. Squeeze the outer left hip in, pressing down to the big toe side of left foot. Lower your right leg. Back to Tadasana. I always have to kind of make room for my thighs. All right. Lift your left leg up. Pressing through the big toe side of your right leg. Roll your shoulders back. Make sure your knee is straight ahead, not out to the side. That's a different one. And then lower that one down. All right, first side again. And this I guess I'll just show this real quick so you don't have to look at the camera because it throws you off if you look at the camera. So you lift the leg up, and then the arms can come up. Then if you want, you can experiment with straightening the front leg. You don't have to keep it straight because it gets really heavy and starts to come down. So, but just see if you can straighten it. Some of you will be able to keep it straight. I'm not one of them. All right, start Tadasana. Roll your shoulders back. Lift your right leg up. Press down through the big toes of your left leg. Suck the outer left hip in. Possibly lift your arms up. And then just experiment with straightening the leg. It doesn't have to be that high, but it definitely gets heavy. And then lower your arms, lower your leg. Other side. Lift your left leg up. Roll your shoulders back. Keep your chest lifted. Lift your arms up. Press down to the big toe side of your right foot. Suck the outer right hip in. And then experiment with straightening the leg. And it can be way down here. That's okay. It really has more to do with your flexibility, although also the load. Right at 90 degrees is probably the heaviest load. Maybe you can leave it straight for a few seconds. And then bend your knee, release your arms, release the foot down. Take your legs wide. Put your hands on your hips, elbows back. Exhale, fold forward, Prasarada.
So, Mary,
Mm-hmm.
when I suck one hip in, I can't do that without the other hip like moving out of place.
So when you're here, let's see if I can get, okay, so now you can see different colors, right?
Right?
Okay. So what happens is when we lift a hip, we kind of sit out to the side. And
Okay.
so if you're going over, then yes, your hips will just move. But what we're trying to do is not do this.
Okay.
We want, just like you would in Tadasana, we don't want the hips to vary from Tadasana. So
Okay.
the weight automatically moves over, so just try to pull it in a little bit, not so much that you're shifting.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we were here, or maybe, yeah. And you walk your hands back, rest your head towards the floor. Keep your quadriceps lifted. Walk your hands forward, lift your chest. Bring your hands on your hips, come all the way back up. Step your feet together, or scissor go together. Okay. So if I'm folding my mat into thirds, because it's a thick mat, that means headstand, usually. All right, not doing headstand. You can do headless headstand, like this. Or you can do Prasarada Padottanasana. It depends how much you have left in your arms. All right. So my elbows are in line with my shoulders, maybe slightly wider, but not much. Pressing my forearms down, lifting my shoulder blades up my back. That would be true in whatever position you're in. I'll look at you gently because I have a really good view. I like this view. Okay. So I would say your elbows are a tiny bit wide, but not too much of a problem, Kathy. And then I need you to turn your nose to your left, I think. Oh, the other way, that way, yeah. No. So look towards, I think it's your left, the open door that you have. So that direction, there we go. Let's see, so Suzette, you're off the headstander. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, so Kathy, your tendency is to turn your nose, I think it's towards your right arm, and unless I'm, yeah, so you want to turn a little bit to your left, yeah, towards that open door. But very good view, by the way. This is an excellent view for headstand, is seeing basically what I really need to see is the shoulders and head. That's going to give me a much better view than your legs. All right, come on down. Rest with your head down or however you wish. Oh, you're using it. Okay, cool. Yeah. That's using the blocks. You guys are braver than I am. Anytime I come down from a headstand, I immediately turn. So my best end is not facing the camera. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think we have time for this. So we did this last week. I'd like you to try it again. So it was where we took the leg up, and then we took it to the side. You can do that this way. You can take the leg up and then over to the side. And you can do that. This is actually the easiest. I mean, once you're up, is to take the leg forward and over to the side. And the reason it's the easiest is because the leg weighs less. So pick one of those. Either hands at the wall, feet on the floor, and just lift the leg up and move it over to the side, like kind of like a weird Ardha Chandrasana. Or do L pose. You don't have to leave it there, but just bring it over to the side. See how that really challenges your balance and your abdominal work. Yeah. So down. Yep. So Sopo, now bring it forward and then over to the side. Without coming back up. So down, over to the side. There we go. Yeah. That's fun, huh? A little different. Gives you something to do in handstand. Like, some of these long shoulder stands, you know, where you're just sitting there and you're sitting there and you're going, when is this going to be over? A lot of people will move their legs around to keep themselves there longer. So it's kind of the same thing. Okay, is that enough on the wrist? Yeah, okay. All right. Come back to your mats. And I'm gonna have a folded blanket for Chatush Padasana. And well, it's a variation of Chatush Padasana. Don't worry, we're not gonna do the sliders, which is crazy hard, I think. And then I'm gonna, one nice thing about these towels is that, you know, these are my old rags and there's no thickness to them. So there's a little bit, but compared to the blanket, it gives somewhere for my head to be. You're gonna take both your blocks. And you can just watch for a second. I'm gonna put a block underneath. This is my right foot. You can start with your foot. Like this. And then I'm gonna stick the other block between the heel and the thigh with the second foot, like this. Doesn't that look fun? It doesn't, but try it. If you have foam blocks and wood blocks, I recommend foam. So lie back for Chatush. And then if you don't want to lift your leg up in that weird, this is hamstring work, but you could have blocks underneath both feet. And just feel how that changes the pose. It gives you a little more height, a little closer to shoulder stand actually. I don't think my blocks are even just because of the way my hips feel, but yes, okay. That will also work, Suzette. So I had it between my heel and my foot, but yeah, that also works, yes. And then when you've had all you can take on one side, which doesn't take very long, at least doesn't take me very long, then switch sides. Correct. Yes. Uh-huh. It just loads the pose a little differently. It helps you develop the muscles needed to stay a long time in this pose. It helps you get higher actually, because once you lower lower down after doing one leg at a time, then when you come to two legs, put one foot on each block, you're gonna feel like it's just a piece of cake. So if you haven't come to two blocks, go ahead and do that. And if you're not getting as much height as you possibly can, then you need to come down and scoot yourself closer to the blocks, or scoot the blocks closer to you. And it may be a little awkward at first because the angle of your heels and stuff when you walk in. So you can really get height in the hips. The higher your hips are, the closer it is to shoulder stand. And if you want to try, you can just lift one leg straight up here. Why not? Trying to keep the hips high. They do lower down when you lift the leg up. Yeah, good. Come down. Move the blocks to the side. Grab a strap. If you can grab your foot, you don't need a strap. Supine Vistasana. Floor feels pretty good. So if it's available to you, have your feet at the wall. It gives you feedback. Then lift your right leg up. Place the strap. Let's see. Let's put it on the heel of the foot. Then as you press your left foot into the wall, see how close to the ground you can get your left thigh. Pull on the strap, relax your shoulders. Push on the strap with your legs. So you're doing kind of an isometric work with your leg and your arms. So you're pushing against the strap, you're pulling against the strap. So be there for a few breaths. And then keep your legs straight, but release the push on the strap. And bring your leg closer to your head. Now push the strap again. Pull on the strap. Sometimes, well, in class, when we're meeting with other people, we do this with a partner. We push against the partner, and they keep our leg in place. And then we release the push, and we try to go for the stretch. This is not, now I don't know why, I think you can overstretch. This is not something you do every day, but if you really want to increase the length in your hamstrings, the flexibility in your hamstrings, this is a great way of doing it. One more time. So now you've come a little further. Push into the strap, pull into the strap. And then release and pull your leg closer to you. This is also not something you'd want to do if you had a current hamstring injury. All right. Release that foot to the floor. See if when you push it into the wall, if it feels longer than the other leg. So lift the left leg up. Put the strap on the heel. Push your right heel into the wall to try to keep your right thigh down. So don't start at your maximum, I should have said this before, but don't start at your complete maximum to begin with. Start a little back from your maximum. Maximum meaning the left leg toward your head. The maximum stretch in your left hamstring. Then, playing tug of war with yourself, pull onto the foot, push into the strap. So you should feel your biceps fire up, your forearms fire up. This also workens the muscles in your leg. So you're there for a few breaths, and then you release the strength work and go to the stretch work. And then try again. push, pull. Release, pull. Last one, push, pull. And release. Oh, sorry, pull your leg further over. And I said release, which is usually what I do when we're coming out of a pose, so that was my bad. All right, release that foot down. Press both heels into the wall, see if the legs feel more or less the same length. All right, and lift the right leg up. And this time you can have the strap on the ball of the foot. See if that flexibility that you created last time is still there. Pressing with the left heel into the wall. Take both sides of the strap into your right hand, take it over to the side. Keep pressing through your left heel. Now this one's a little harder to do the push-pull because what you're trying to open is your inner thigh. And so you would actually have to try to lift your leg up. And your arm can really overpower your leg there. Which is unusual because usually your leg overpowers your arm. The other thing you can try here is to squeeze your right glute. And that will help you bring the leg over. Bring that leg back up to center. Pull it towards your head. And release it down. All right, left leg. Press your right heel into the wall, place the strap on the ball of your left foot. And see how close to your head you can bring the left leg. With it being straight. Yes. Keep pressing your right thigh towards the floor. And take both sides of the strap into your left arm and take the leg out to the side. So it goes to where it's going to go. If it's on the floor, if you just have really open hips this way, lift it higher up and then it'll move the stretch slightly. It might make it a little harder for you. All right. Then squeeze your left glute and see if you can get a little more extension in the leg when you squeeze the left glute. Then bring your left leg back to center, pull it closer to your head, and release it to the floor. All right, bend both your knees, roll up. Okay, if you have a bolster, you will put a bolster next to the wall. If you don't have a bolster, you can take a couple blankets and fold them lengthwise. 2 is usually enough for the shorter torso, but since I have a longer torso, I'm going to use 3. And I want a little space between the wall and my blankets or bolster so that the weight goes that way. Now I'm going to show the traditional way of getting into this. You can have a strap nearby I'll show the whole thing. So you put both buttocks at the wall and you roll up. And this is kind of Shavasana, kind of, we didn't do shoulder stand today. We did Chatush, which counts too, but this is also counts. So you can tie the legs together like this for ribcage. So the abdomen should be flat, it shouldn't be puffed, but the chest is puffed. The other way you can get into this pose, which this really should be, I'm sure it's online somewhere, but is to do a forward roll. The thing with the forward roll is that you need something for your hair, or it'll get stuck on the sticky mat. So if you know the pose, you can go ahead and get into it. I'm just showing this for the viewers at home. I place my hands down, tuck my chin, like I'm gonna do tripod headstand. And then I do a slow forward roll, slip down the wall. And I'm in Viparita. Nice thing about having the legs belted is it takes some of the work out of the pose. The chin is slightly towards the chest, the back of the neck is long. Roll your shoulders down your back towards your hips. And as you inhale, expand the rib cage to the sides. As you exhale, feel your abdomen flatten. Use your breath to work into the pose. So the pose has an effect on the breath, and the breath has an effect on the pose. Relax your jaw and your throat. Rest your tongue into the base of your mouth. Keep the work of the breath. Helps keep you focused. Deepen your breath. Bend your knees, take off the belt. Roll to your side. Sit yourself up. Take your arms wide, lift your chest. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Think of something you're grateful for. Namaste.